The Foundry by Kyusaku Yumeno. Excerpted from Kaimu, a collection of disturbing dreams. Translation and narration by J.D. Wisgo. It is a frost-covered morning when light begins to accumulate solemnly at the steel factory. It is the time when the massive crucible, where coke has burned continually for the last few days, glows bright red like a setting sun in the darkness of the foundry. It is a period of several minutes when the needle of the boiler's pressure gauge shudders silently beneath the yellow lights, exceeding 200 pounds. For the briefest of moments, a terrible stillness can be felt permeating throughout the soot-caked building, the kind of stillness found thousands of meters underground. This moment of utter silence hints at an incomprehensible, ominous premonition, as if this very foundry is on the verge of rupturing. I leisurely cross my arms, sneering at the absurd, unimaginable premonition deep in my mind. I gaze up at a window in the high ceiling. I look up at a chimney belching black smoke into the blue sky. Shaking my head vigorously back and forth, I'm struck with vertigo, as if the diagonally slanted surface of the chimney, brightly reflecting the olive-colored light of the rising sun, is about to topple over onto me at any moment. Because of my father's sudden death, I inherited this foundry despite being an inexperienced graduate fresh out of college. And I've just been brought here to lead the work personally for the first time in my life, anticipating the insults and curses of the workers towards their young neophyte boss. But my indomitable spirit pushes away that ominous premonition into a place deep, deep into my mind. Holding a cigarette lengthwise in my mouth, with a vaguely smug attitude, I walk around, observing the white breaths of the workers at their assigned stations. Before me, a giant flywheel grins like a dark rainbow. Beyond that, in the faint darkness remaining from last night, gears of various sizes spin, countless teeth meshing together, with the gray arm of a piston rod jutting out, a hydraulic rivet gun staring up at the attic, one leg of a steam hammer being raised. Everything remains stubbornly silent, as if in wait of my orders, prepared to fully utilize terrific supernatural forces and a certainty born from the principles of physics. A high-pitched whistle screams out somewhere. Is it the sound of steam escaping from the lips of a valve? Or a noise resounding deep in my head? Something powerful runs down my spine. My right hand rises impulsively. The foreman nods and goes away. Slowly, extremely slowly, all of the machines clustered together in the foundry begin to gradually awaken. Steam begins spraying from all corners of the foundry. Then, a moment later, various unseen hallucinations of steel begin to spiral up around me in unison. Humans, lunatics, super beings, wild animals, fierce beasts, monsters, giants, with the great roar of steel paying no mind to any of those. Cruel, cold-blooded moans of jet black fly through every space, instantly luring even the strongest mind into a delusion of fear and death. The echoes of spirits being ridiculed, the spirits of countless women and child workers who have been torn apart, shredded, or beaten to death. The voice of someone cursing the skull of that old worker who was recently crushed. The sound of someone mocking the well-built man who had both of his legs broken long ago. The hellish cacophony that cares only for the great battle between steel and fire, ignoring all life with a cold stare of indifference. The suffocating screams of a circular saw from a distant wood mill cut through my neck and ears, swaying each and every hair on my head. The sounds also slice through the fingers, arms, and foreheads of the young workers. Even now, that blood spray remains as a black spot on the base of a wooden beam. My father was considered by the community to be a lunatic. It was because he was an ugly, uneducated old man who glared at the world with savage, steel-colored eyes who, once began, worked day and night without rest. He was this foundry's burden and its pride, and at the same time an unending menace towards several steel foundries. That's why in this foundry there is never a single machine with the experience of losing a part of itself, let alone its existence. Bloody screams and sneers penetrate every inch of the black walls and ceiling. That is how passionate the workers are in this foundry. That is how sincere the machines are in this foundry. Moreover, to dominate everything, to despise every little thing, the iron, the blood, the flesh, and the souls, to make everything curse and fight amongst themselves like useless junk, and to create afresh a great sneer of iron. That was the ambition of my late father. And yet, it wasn't enough to satisfy me, to even draw a smile from me. What's the big deal? I'll show you. This work is nothing but child's play. Arms crossed, I begin to walk slowly. I wonder how many souls I will have to sacrifice to the steel as I gradually become accustomed to the terrible, deafening screams in this absurdly majestic foundry, grinning as I imagine the most brutal of things, building up to my favorite moment of ecstasy. "Oh, Chief, it's you." The voice, something close to a scream, comes from behind me. "So, we lost another person?" That instant, a great lucidity surges through my senses. As I slowly turn around, the massive sun-like crucible hanging from a crane passes uncomfortably close to my nose, glittering brightly as it scatters white sparks in all directions, ready to ignite whatever it touches. The light blinds me. I step onto the mold of a pump, shattering it, and jump back. Every ounce of my blood rushes into my heart. I stop when I slam into the door of a wood mill. 5 or 6 foundry workers run to come see me. Bowing their heads low, the workers apologize for their negligence. My mouth gapes open as I look across at their faces. I keenly feel the cold air stinging the mild burns on their foreheads, cheeks, and noses, and I hear every last sound in the foundry jeering at me. Ha ha ha, hee hee hee, ho ho ho. Asshole, you deserve that. Please check out my site, Self-Taught Japanese, which contains over 1,000 articles about learning Japanese, reviews of Japanese media, and also more information about my books. Thank you for listening.